Welcome back on Events 2016 tonight. We ask you, has the opposition met your expectations in this 2016 year? Have they stayed the course and proved their mettle as an alternative government or even a government in waiting? Or have they, as the Jubilee administration claims, been rudderless and agendaless? Tonight on Events 2016, we decipher the performance of the opposition. In studio, we have Opposition Chief Raila Amolo Odinga, a three-time presidential candidate keen on making yet another stab at the presidency. We welcome you to be part of this discussion. Send us your thoughts on 22422, and on Twitter, the hashtag is Events 2016. Honorable Raila Odinga, thank you so much for making time for us tonight.
Thank you, Hussein. I'm happy to be here.
Asante. I'll begin with the latest. Yesterday, you said very clearly, or the day before yesterday, if Jubilee goes ahead and push for these amendments, there will be no elections. They did that today.
Well, I say that we will not go for an election which is pre-rigged, and that without transparency there will be no elections. Those are the words that are used. What Jubilee has done today is basically attempting to once again take the country back to where we were in 2013, even 2007.
Right.
And this is not acceptable to Kenyans.
So you're saying, I mean, if there's no transparency, there'll be no elections?
There will definitely no elections.
Are you the one to decide whether there'll be elections or no elections? Or are you saying it is court that will boycott from elections?
I am talking on behalf of the opposition generally. And this is a matter which has been discussed at length. So I was not just talking as myself, as Raila Odinga. I'm talking on behalf of a movement. You know, this country has come far, Hussein. Today, as I think one of the darkest days in our country's history, in terms of parliament. I think somebody can only liken it to sometimes in 1982, when they passed what was called in the Section 2A of our Constitution, which made the country a single-party dictatorship. It was passed in the same manner and fashion as it was done today in Parliament.
Okay.
In other words, that was the time when we were trying to form another political party.
Okay. So let me get this clear. You're saying it's not that there will not be elections, it is the opposition that will boycott elections.
It's not a question of boycotting.
You're saying there will not be elections?
We are saying there will be no elections which are going to be rigged. We will not allow it to happen.
Okay.
In other words, they are attempting to do it, but we will stop them from doing it.
So you're saying they are attempting to rig the elections already?
Yes.
So I'm asking you that question again. Are you saying there won't be elections? Or you will not participate?
There won't be elections which will be rigged. This is what we're saying.
Okay.
So we are going to take the steps to ensure that the next coming general elections are going to be fair, free, open, transparent, and verifiable.
Okay. How do these amendments amount to rigging, in your view?
Because, you see, in the past what has happened is that the people who are what you call ghost voters have been allowed to vote, to participate in the voting. How do they do this? Particularly in their strongholds, they first have registered even the dead people. The names have not been removed from the register, and even underage children. And when the polling day comes, the first thing they do is they remove any agent from the opposition. Our agents, like last time, were beaten up and then thrown out of the polling station. So when the polling ends, then they now cross all the other names, those people who have not turned up to vote.
Okay.
And that's why you have, for example, 95 up to 100% and 102 voter turnout in those areas.
So that's why you're saying that is what you're afraid of. That is what you think may happen.
Yes, that is what these changes are actually meant to stop.
Okay, I'll come to that. We'll come and discuss. I mean, all the problems of manual or electronic. First, you went today in court the judge was very clear when giving directions that he will handle the matter, Justice Odunga, and if he finds that the outcome is, the laws in Parliament were unconstitutional, he will not hesitate. He will not hesitate to change them or take action or to strike them down, just like the security laws a while back. So why couldn't you wait for the decision of the judge and immediately call for mass action?
No, you see...
Because you did that because you believe in the rule of law, isn't it?
Yes, certainly.
So why don't you wait for the rule of law to take its course?
No, that is a parallel process, and that is going on. What we're talking about right now is that we've seen that Jubilee is basically trying to abuse their numbers in Parliament to impose a law on the people of Kenya.
Okay.
And that is what we are trying to prevent.
But you cannot say it's a parallel process because you're going to the streets because of what happened in Parliament.
Yes.
You went to court because of what happened in Parliament.
Yes.
The court is yet to give a ruling on that.
Yes.
So why would you go to the streets?
But there's still a lot of time. You see,
and the court has guaranteed that it will not hesitate to strike it down if it finds it illegal.
Right. Certainly.
So these are two parallel...
And where we are standing, we still have a lot of time before the fourth comes. Okay? So if the court then rules that, the court rules one way or the other, we will not go to the streets. Okay? We will respect the rule of law.
If it rules one way or the other,
yes.
or if it rules in your favor?
Well, no, it's either way the court rules.
So you're going to give it the benefit of the doubt?
Yes.
But now you're not doing it if you're going to the streets.
No. We will.
You're not giving it the benefit of the doubt. If you're saying you're going to give it the benefit of the doubt, you would have at least waited to see how it would go before you make the decision whether to go on the streets or not.
These are parallel processes. We have got the legal process going on, and we have also got political process that is ongoing. And we will not basically sit and wait to see the right of the people of Kenya being trampled on. And that's the reason why we said, well, we have gone to court, and the court has said that they will not hesitate.
Yes.
But at the same time, you see, we have said that we will ourselves call the people to action. Should Jubilee begin to ignore even the court rulings and proceed and procedurally to change the law. Okay. As it is right now, there's still another stage. Go to the Senate, and then from the Senate, then presidential assent. That is when now the other ones will now take place.
So there's still a long process to come.
Exactly.
Then why did you go to the court?
Because of that, we were trying to stop yes.
Exactly, like you say.
And then it became a fait accompli.
Okay, because we want to move away from this now, let me just get this straight. You went to the court because it's a legal process. You want to know whether what was did in Parliament today was legal or illegal, isn't it?
Yes.
You are calling people on the streets because what was done was illegal or legal?
We are calling the people on the streets because the Jubilee intention is to try to rig the next general elections.
In your view, it was illegal?
It is very legal.
But you went to court to wait so that you find out whether it's legal or illegal.
Hussein, this law was a product of mutual negotiation. You remember we were in the streets. When people died. People died because as a result of that. And then there were interventions. The church, the religious community, the members of the diplomatic community, the business community mediated. And we ended up with a select committee, a joint select committee, which then went and negotiated and came up with this amendment to the law. Then there was an agreement between us and the Jubilee leadership that this amendment should be passed without any changes in Parliament. And we gave instruction to our members not to even change a comma or a full stop. That was done. Parliament did pass it. Under the parliamentary law, under the standing orders, a law which has been passed cannot come back for amendment within the next 6 months. 6 months have not elapsed. from the time that this law came into effect.
Okay.
So what Jubilee was doing was very illegal, and they have blackmailed the Speaker to try to introduce these changes.
Okay, fair enough.
And remember that Parliament adjourned the day before yesterday at 10 p.m. and the Speaker himself ruled that the next session will start on the 24th of January.
Okay.
That night, the same Speaker was called by the President and told that if he does not reconvene Parliament, he was going to be sacked.
Okay.
And at midnight, he was publishing again another Gazette notice convening Parliament. So that session that took place today was itself illegal.
That's why you went to the court?
Yes.
Right. That is why you went to the court. That's what you're saying. You say that the Speaker says everything he did was above board. JLEC says everything they did was above board, and they passed the laws today. You've talked about this law being it was negotiated. We all know.
Yes.
God and Jubilee sat for almost 30 days to come up with these laws. There was no rider after finalizing everything. There was no rider after the negotiating team of finished their work that any other matter coming up from this must be subjected to negotiations. No, there was no such rider. That's for a fact, isn't it?
No, you didn't need to have a rider.
Why not?
That is taken for granted. That if it is something that is mutually negotiated and agreed upon,
yes. If
one party wants to change it, then there must be a consensus. They must consult the other party. You cannot then unilaterally sit down and begin and say, I'm going to change it, although we negotiated it mutually among ourselves.
First, they say this came from the IEBC, not them, and the IEBC have said so as well. You have been in politics for so long. Over the last 4 or 3.5 years, you've talked about a lot against the Jubilee government and even IEBC, and talked about mistrust. Some would actually argue, how naive would court have been to finish these negotiations and don't have a rider that now mandates any other change to be subjected to consensus?
You see,
if you have been so, you don't really trust them.
Hussein, there is no naivety in this. This is common sense. If there was something that was mutually negotiated, it goes without question that one party then cannot go and change that arrangement. You're saying that the IBC has said as much. IBC must consult both parties. How does it come about that it's only Jubilee that is privy? JLEC
says it consulted them as a Justice and Legal Affairs Committee.
But we have members in the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee. We have our members there say they have not been consulted.
Okay.
So when the chairman was confronted in Parliament, he was unable to produce even a report of the Justice and Legal Committee of Parliament,
which he said he did today, and that is why they pushed this amendment.
He did not, to our knowledge, because our members have confirmed that no such document was available to them.
So that will be a back and forth. I'll leave it at that. But like I said, Honorable Chief Konga said he did, and that is why he pushed the laws at the end of the day. So in hindsight, you don't think it was a mistake not to make sure anything else that will be changed should be done? I mean, there must have been a rider so that anything else should have been changed must have been subjected to negotiations. In hindsight, you don't think that would have been necessary?
It was not necessary. It is inherent in that agreement.
But it's not.
That it is inherent in that agreement that it should not be changed. That's why the draft bill was supposed to be passed by Parliament without any amendments, since it has been negotiated and agreed upon.
And that it did.
And that's why the President whipped his side, and I also whipped our side.
Good. And it did, and it passed without any amendment.
Passed an amendment, and then you need to know that it can, under the standing orders, it cannot come back until after 6 months.
The Speaker argues differently, Honorable Odinga. But my question to you is, you say, I mean, there was an agreement and there were no amendments at the end of the day, and it should have been passed the way it should have been passed, and then at the end of the day, that is what happens. You're saying this should have been inherent. Generally goodwill from both parties, isn't it?
Yes. Not only that. This was I'm saying it's a negotiated agreement.
Yes, but to do anything else, for it to be like it's a must to be subjected to negotiations, depended on goodwill. Because you're saying it should have been inherent, isn't it? It's not the law.
It's not dependent on goodwill.
But it's not dependent on the law.
Yeah, but the law itself says you cannot bring it back. Because saying I've been a member of parliament for 20 years. I understand the standing orders. And the standing orders say that a bill that has been passed by parliament cannot come back for amendment within the next 6 months.
Fine.
The 6 months have not lapsed. That itself was illegal parliamentary.
CORD has the opposition, and I'm coming to the issue of electronic voter identification and transmission shortly, but CORD has gone to court already challenging the issue of awarding the contract to KPMG on auditing the voter register. That is part of what was agreed in the negotiating team, isn't it?
Yes.
Did CORD care to consult Jubilee before they did that? They just went ahead as well, isn't it?
No. There was an agreement that the voter register would be audited biometrically.
Yes.
That is provided for in the law.
Yes.
And what we've done was that the company that had been awarded this contract did not have the capacity in our view
to do it.
And secondly, we say that this award should have awaited the appointment of the new commissioners.
Okay.
Because as the way the IBC stands now,
yes,
there is no commission, because the commission does not exist without commissioners who enjoy the security of tenure. Right.
Still back to my question. Did you care, because you're saying you thought you should go to court, it's not right. Did you care to consult Jubilee? Because you're saying it should have been inherent on this other issue.
Yes.
This was also born out of the negotiations. Did you care to consult them?
What I'm trying to say is this. This has nothing to do. We did not go back to parliament to change the law.
You actually went to court.
We went to court. This is in terms of operating that law.
But it's still a law that you all agreed to.
But we have not changed the law. We have not changed the agreement.
You have interfered with the timeline.
We are only talking about the implementation.
Okay, but you have interfered with the timelines. I'll read that specific what was said. The IBC engages, the committee recommends as follows, that the IBC engages a professional, reputable firm to conduct an audit of the register of voters for the purpose of verifying the accuracy of the register, updating the register, and recommending mechanisms to enhance accuracy of the register. The audit be completed not later than 30th November 2016. Clearly that is gone. The Commission submits the audit report to Parliament within 14 days of the receipt of the report, and the Commission implements the recommendations of the audit thereafter. Nowhere in this agreement, Honorable Raila Odinga, nowhere in this negotiated document was it said Company A or Company B should do this.
No.
And the way to do it should be A, B, C, D.
You see,
that should have been the work administratively of IEBC.
Correct.
And that is why I'm asking you, why didn't you care? This was an afterthought. After this you thought, this is not right. Why didn't you consult them as well?
Listen, we have actually raised a number of issues with Jubilee regarding this agreement. First, the appointment of the commissioners ought to have been fast-tracked. You remember when the law was passed by Parliament, it took the Speaker 2 weeks to forward the bill to the President for assent. When the President received the bill, he took his time, 2 weeks before he actually signed it. Then they said it will take another 2 weeks for it to become effective. After that, then they said that the members of the panel which were appointed could not start work until they were sworn by the Chief Justice, who was then not in office. And this is waited. These were not commissioners. These are just members of a panel who could have been sworn in by any commissioner of oath. So we were reading mischief all the times on the part of Jubilee in this regard. And that's the reason why we kept on pointing it out to them. The time is actually running out. So Jubilee itself was all the times in violation. you need to know that there's always been communication between ourselves and the Jubilee.
Right.
So when now...
How have they been in violation in terms of, you're saying they are delaying the process?
They're delaying the process because they are retaining the old discredited commissioners in office.
So now...
Those commissioners have continued to do work and do mischief. Because according to them, they are trying to punish CORD for having removed them from office.
That you have evidence to, because I'll come to that.
Certainly.
Okay, I'll come to that. I'll leave this issue of KPMG because you are saying at the end of the day you did not. At the end of the day, you did not consult Jubilee. Just the way you're saying this should have been a negotiated thing about changing the laws. This was also a product of that, and you did not talk to them as well. But let's move to the practicability of the electronic system. IBC have raised issues, and I'll also read something here, and this is general knowledge on biometrics and the use of any biometric gadgets. There could be failures and there could be problems. There's something they call false rejection, where a biometric system can incorrectly rejects a valid individual, and then false acceptance, the system incorrectly accepts an invalid individual. And then we also have failure to enroll. And that happens when, fingerprints, somebody may have a disease and it may not work, or somebody may have electronically, registered. By the time he came to vote, maybe he had a disease, it didn't work, or because of their job or what they do, it didn't work. How do you suppose you take care of such people?
You see, in any system, there's always a margin of error. In any system, I'm talking to you now as an engineer. Okay? So, but that is always negligible in this particular regard. Now, when you talk about biometric data, it is a very involved thing. It's not just the fingerprints.
I'm talking about registration first.
Registration.
Yes.
There's the fingerprint.
Yes.
There's the irises.
It depends, yeah.
There's even...
there's even the card or password.
And your even DNA.
Yes.
And so on and so forth. So, what happened, because this is a system that is now being used universally in a number of countries, is that those are just like even the manual register. Sometimes people's names are never found, even in the manual register. And what happens in those cases? They never register, they never vote. This is what has happened, even in the manual register. So there is no reason why you're making exceptions with regard to BVR. And here, countries have used this system very successfully.
With a backup.
Nigeria registered 73.5 million voters through this system, and they used this system. Ghana, 11 million voters. They just had the elections a week ago. India, the other time, 863 million people in India, and they all voted successfully through this system that we are talking about.
But all those nations had a backup system.
What we are talking about is that they use the BVR is the primary source of identification.
Which is electronic.
Electronic.
So what is the problem then? What is the problem? Because what the amendment says is in the event of failure, and you have said yourself, any system can have failures.
Even manual.
Exactly.
Even manual.
Exactly. So what is the problem of having electronic and manual in case this system fails?
What is going to happen here, what these people want, is they don't want electronic voter identification. They want manual voter identification because of the mischief. And that is what we are completely aware of. This is what they have been doing. Last time, Hussein, they introduced 2 million votes illegally, and we have proof to this, that who voted for the president alone, they did not vote for anybody else. So this is what we are trying
Did you submit the same proof to the Supreme Court?
Yes, the evidence is there. The document that was submitted by the IEBC to the Supreme Court, that document, you took it to experts in England. It was analyzed. So and we have actually published those results.
But are you saying then,
and they show that...
Because you accepted the results then, are you saying now you don't accept the results of the Supreme Court?
No, remember the Supreme Court...
The ruling.
The Supreme Court rejected our evidence. They said it was filed out of time.
Fine.
960 pages of evidence.
Right.
But after that, we did a sober analysis, and we established, and we have actually published results.
Yes. As the opposition.
Yes.
And with due respect to the data you have, and as the opposition, but we are supposed to take the result or the ruling of the court at the end of the day, isn't it?
The court
Whether
itself,
it was filed out of time or not, we are supposed to take the result of the court.
what the court did, you remember what we said? We said, we don't agree, but we respect. That is what we said at that time.
Right.
And what happened at that time, Hussein, if you just want to jog your memory, is that we filed, first, we needed access to the records of IBC for us to be able to prosecute our case. The IBC refused to give us access to the document until we went to court and got a court order. Even still, Isaac Hassan refused to respect that court order.
Okay.
Finally, the executive officer allowed us. When we compiled that evidence and then finally submitted it to court, then the Jubilee lawyers came to court and said this evidence was filed out of time.
Okay.
So it was not that it was no merit, no material.
But the court agreed with the Jubilee.
It was just technically.
Technically, the court, and technically the court agreed with the Jubilee lawyers.
And you know that ruling has been condemned universally.
That's fine. But technically, the court agreed with the technicality of the Jubilees that what they raised at the end of the day.
But the evidence...
And that's why I'm saying, with due respect to what you have, at the end of the day, Kenyans had to follow, just like you, the ruling of the Supreme Court.
That's we respected, right. and we said we move on. But I'm just saying, after that,
yes,
we did a proper analysis through experts, that, and it showed that 10 million people voted for all the other categories, for the MCAs, for the MPs, for the women rep, for the senator, governor, but 12 million voted for the presidency.
Okay.
In other words, there are 2 million people who went to the polling station and only voted for the president and voted for nobody else. And
again, with due respect to that, that is what the opposition came up with. Yes. But my question to you again, the Communication Authority of Kenya has said very clearly, 60% of this country is not covered by 3G network. About 100 or between 100 and 1,000 sub-locations do not have network at all. I think 164 do not have any network at all. How do you suppose this is going to happen? What is going to happen to these people?
You see, the BVR and EVID, this is electronic voter identification device, does not need the 3Gs and all these things.
Electronic transmission results.
Oh, you're talking about...
Yes.
You can use VSAT to do the transmission. You don't need to have the 3G, 2G or 4G network coverage at all. That has been done before. There's no reason why that cannot happen. Recently, Mosiro, down here in Kajiado, we had a by-election. There was no network, no Safaricom network or even
Airtel or any other mobile operator.
But they were able to access the same thing in Turkana.
Okay.
And Tanariva.
Right. So my question, Honorable Raila Odinga, if you say these systems can fail, it's election time. We have several counties and constituencies, and the systems fail. What should happen?
I'm saying it's not a question of the system failing. If the system cannot fail.
You said any system can fail.
Because I'm telling you about voter identification.
Even that can fail. And it has failed before.
No, it was made to fail last time.
But it can fail. It can fail. And you've said yourself, any biometric system can fail.
I'm saying that, I did not say that it can fail. Please get me right. I say that no system is foolproof.
Exactly.
But let me just tell you, make this point, that here we are talking about biometric voter identification.
Yes.
Which does not need the transmission. This is, people are being identified there. You only need batteries. In any case, the Vice President yesterday told you here that they've connected 5.5 million homes. They've connected all primary schools
to
electricity.
Right.
So why should there be any problem at all?
Okay.
Batteries are just then a backup in this particular situation.
Okay.
So, but if it works in places like Nigeria, it works in Ghana, it works in the remote villages in India, why should it be a problem in Kenya?
Okay. But Honorable Odinga, just to move away from this, are you saying we cannot have emergencies, we cannot have power outages, we cannot have weather changes that can affect even electricity? I mean, are you saying this system cannot fail at all? Because my question to you is, if it fails, the word is if.
If it fails, it is stopped until the power is back. If it's a power problem. You stop it. Until, if the equipment has failed, stop it until there's a replacement or it is rectified. This is what's happened, is done elsewhere.
So I mean, regardless of the number of areas where things will fail, what you'd say is stop the election until they work again.
And that's what was done. Remember the other time in Ghana, they stopped it for a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Still on IBC, and you said it again here, I told you we'll come back to that shortly. Several times you have alleged a plot to rig the election by IBC and Jubilee. In an interview about 3 months ago with us again, you said commissioners have a deal with President Kenyatta. You said it again when KPMG was contracted to do the audit of the voter register. First, when you make such statements or such remarks, what evidence do you have when you say that? Because the issue is, have you substantiated what you're saying, or do you just say it?
No, Hussein, I am usually a very careful person. I don't speak without first verifying what I want to say. I'm not one of those people who think after I've said something. I think before I say something.
Okay.
I made a statement just saying that IBC has been going to State House to meet with the President. They've never seen it necessary to come and meet with us. And when the time they agreed, the chairman refused to come with the other commissioners. And then the other times when we were asking for appointments to go and see them, each time they were having excuses here and there. And we were saying that IBC is supposed to be the umpire. It must be neutral.
Okay.
This matters. They must see the executive as much as they also see us as the opposition.
So does that, okay.
With regard to the KPMG,
yes,
what we have said, we have done analysis and we have not seen them doing a similar exercise elsewhere. And yet there are companies, according to that tender, which had applied, which had experience.
But whose job is it to determine? Whose job is it to determine which company can do the job?
What we are trying to say is that it should be done by a commission. And as we are talking right now, there is no commission. Because the commissioners have not been appointed.
You're taking us back. That you did not say. That was not agreed upon in that negotiated agreement.
It is not a question of agreeing upon.
But it wasn't. It wasn't. You're saying for the audit to take place. You're saying for the audit to take place, there must be a commission, new commission.
That is taken for granted.
Why would you want to take this? Is politics. These are negotiations with people you say you don't trust. Why would you take things for granted?
I'm just saying it's not a question of taking things for granted. It is the commission must be a commission. That's when the commission is working. You cannot have technocrats sitting there and then you say that's a commission. The commission must be, it's called Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission. That means that there are commissioners who enjoy security of tenure. That's why it's called independent.
Okay.
See,
so my question...
Now these people don't have that kind of independence.
Fine. You're saying a commission must be there. KPMG have not begun the audit. You stopped them before they began the audit. You say a commission should be there for them to do the audit.
To appoint them.
To appoint who?
That's KPMG.
That is not the work of the commission.
It's not the work of the commission.
But the secretariat, this is the administration.